What's up? What's up? What's up, good people? I am coming at you live right now. You are now in the No Judgment Zone, which with me, Sean Taylor, discussing topics with no judgment, discussing topics with no judgments. It's not. This show is not based off debate or anything of that nature. Um, it's just pretty much discussing topics with no judgments. Man, let me put my glasses on for 1 second. So, all right, that's much better so I can see what's going on in the screen. So anyway, I want to talk to you guys today. All the places that I'm streaming, my Facebook page, my FIMP, the page, my private group, in honor, in remembrance of my mother, FIMP for my imperfect non-judgmental people only. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube channel, Wednesboy Mindset. All the places I'm streaming. For everybody who's going to tune in now, tune in later. I appreciate it. You're now in the No Judgment Zone with Sean Taylor, discussing topics with no judgment, discussing topics with no judgments. Today's title is The Importance of Emotional Intelligence. So for the past couple of weeks, I would say, with my new therapist, which is a guy, we're touching on some really topics that is really pretty much opening up my mental more. So this one, emotional intelligence, is something that which is, I think, is cool, and having a therapist who is Black, identifying things that Black men go through that was never taught. So I'm learning for the past 2 weeks. I've been learning a lot of things by emotional intelligence that I'm guilty of, and now I am tapping into a different area. I love to learn new things. I just think, I think I'm a student in every room. I just love to learn. The more you learn, the more you know. The more you know, the more knowledge you have, the more power you have. The more you can actually, share with others if they're open-minded to it. So the proper definition of emotional intelligence is the ability to actually understand and manage your own emotions in positive ways, to relieve stress, communicate effectively, to empathize with others, and overcome challenges and diffuse conflict. That is the proper definition of emotional intelligence. And if you break that down, the ability to understand and manage your own emotions, sometimes us as men, we don't know how to manage our emotions, and that's not good when dealing with the dynamics of a woman. Women, that I think it's good for a woman to know that she can come to a man and he's going to manage his emotions. He's not going to blow up every time he says something. These are things that I've been guilty of. So, just blowing up over minute things. She's trying to explain. I'm just blowing up. I'm making mountains out of molehills because I don't know how to manage my emotions because, the tough street dude, whatever, don't want to hear it. Hey, women have been telling me what to do all my life. I never do whatever. I don't want to hear that. So mistakes. So going through this 2 week discussion, and we're gonna finish out through the rest of August with emotional intelligence, and we're going into the beginning of September, and then mid-September we're going to touch on another thing. So I'm learning things about me, and these are things that I'm sharing, especially with men, when it comes to emotional intelligence, that can help us pretty much understand our women more, be more patient with them, help us to tap into our emotions. As a man, I always, and when I was telling my therapist, I said, man, I don't know why, man, when a woman said, you all acting all emotional, you get out your feelings, whatever. As a man, sometimes we take that, we get highly offended by that. We're like they calling us a girl or something, and that's not what she's saying. She's pretty much telling you in a certain way, man, you need to get a grip of your emotions, dude. I'm just trying to talk to you about this subject, but you're going way out left field. That's not what I meant. And sometimes us men, we don't want to hear that, man. We lack emotional intelligence, and that's something we have to get in tune with. So um, you know, not having emotional intelligence, man, having more anger and things of that nature, you don't understand that, your anger, that's an emotion. Your frustration, that's an emotion. Your irritation, your sadness, all those things are emotions. So you got to actually get in front of those things to actually to be able to communicate just with people, not only with people, but on a job, your woman, your wife, your fiance, your girlfriend, whoever, your boyfriend, your husband, you have to get in a place to where you can actually communicate effectively. Communicating effectively, that's a part of emotional intelligence. To overcome challenges and diffuse conflict, that's a part of emotional intelligence. To manage your emotions, that's a part of emotional intelligence. But to manage your emotion in a positive way, that's also a part of emotional intelligence. You know, and to empathize with other people, to sympathize with other people. I talked about that today. That's a part of emotional intelligence. To kind of think outside the box. You got to be um, to come to grips with knowing that you need help or you need to work on emotional intelligence. You have to have an open mind to see that, what, this is something I need to work on. And, therapy has really been beneficial to me, and even through my struggles. But emotional intelligence, I'm realizing that I was never taught that. And my therapist, he told me on Monday, he said, Sean, he said, man, don't feel bad about not being taught. And I've had conversations with friends. I said, man, having a therapist that's a man and that's a black man it's been life changing. It's opened my eyes to so many things as a man that I wasn't even aware of. And here's the thing: when you're working on self improvement, sometimes working on that self improvement will bring out things that you was totally unaware of. If you knew of those things, it would help you different. It probably would have saved your marriage. It probably would have saved that relationship. But sometimes he says, Sean, you can't be at fault about things that you didn't know. He said that's the problem in our whole black community. We there's so many things that we wasn't taught. He said, and then, you know, he said, did you have anger issues growing up? I said, yeah, man. There was times I'd be so angry, I would just sit on the bed and just cry. I'd be so mad because I was so mad that, that dude wasn't around. So um, and when if you have not heard the song by Kendrick Lamar, Father Time, black men, listen to that song. If you have not heard that song, Father Time, man, it breaks down so much thing, man, because I don't care what no dude says or whatever the case may be, man. Um, you all guys, especially boys growing up, black boys, white boys, whatever, they look for that validation in that father. And when you don't have that validation to look forward to, it's pretty much everything is pretty much closed off on that end. Now you're channeling things that you could not get because your father is, as a boy, you look at him as a hero, and you want that validation from that dude. You're not looking for validation from your mother. You want that validation from that father because he's a man. He's a male. He's a male like you. So you want to impress him, and then you don't have that around. And now you're going through different angles and trying to seek validation in other ways that may not be good. And the way he broke it down, it was just like I was so intrigued by this. I just started, and I was telling him, I said, man, I'm just replaying my childhood all the way through my 20s, 30s. He said, Sean, that's what I want you to do. He said, now you're seeing the whys. You're seeing the whys. He said, sometimes we got to go back to see the why. And then we fast forward into the present. Now we can be better. Because now you get an understanding. That's why I tell people, man, therapy is so important. You learn so much about you. Therapy is all about you improving you, you working on you, you becoming a better person. And once you go through these different trials and things, you do become better. You start to listen more. You stop blowing a gasket as quickly. It just helps in so many different areas, man. When you can identify your emotions around other people, I mean, that's powerful. You know, and again, like I said, not being taught emotional intelligence is not your fault. But here's the thing: I also learned that my mood, and I caught this when my son was here. Um, he's 16. He's like me. Then he's like his mother. He's got the both of us in him. But we butted heads maybe once or twice. And the thing about it is that he. One thing I love about Jordan, man, he doesn't mind saying I'm sorry. And we came and we talked about my frustration as a father, my frustrations as a man. And what we don't realize when people are we're living at home with our woman or wife or our children or whatever, you set the tone, that mood that you're in, that energy just transfers from this, and you got to understand, you bring that mood and you have that mood, and the child senses that, or your woman or wife senses that. Now they're taking that mood on a job, or they're taking that mood to school, or they're taking that mood with their friends. That energy, man, is, I mean, it's pretty much contagious. It just rolls off, and you have to. That's why it's so important to check that. And I realized my mood that I was in put my son in a mood. And then how do I change that? I had to go to him and I had to say I'm sorry. And then my son apologized himself. He didn't even do anything wrong. It was me. I'm the adult. He's the kid. So you have to understand, when you lack emotional intelligence and you get in that mood just trickles off, and it just rolls off to people, and it just carries them. I'm like, how you start off your day, man, is very important. But you gotta check your emotional intelligence level. And you got to understand how to use and manage your emotions in a positive way. Because if you don't learn the ability to understand and use your emotions in a positive way, guess what? You're going to use your emotions in a negative way. And that negativity is going to roll off to your children, your wife, your girlfriend, and they're taking that wherever they're going next. And if it's not rectified throughout the day, then they're bringing that mood right back home. And it just festers and festers, and it just rolls and rolls, and it just builds and builds. And before you know it, there's a huge disconnect, all because nobody is handling, or no one is understanding the use of their emotions and how to use them. How to use your emotions to communicate effectively and to overcome challenges and to diffuse conflict. See, once you start tapping into your emotional intelligence, now you know how to maneuver to diffuse conflict based off what you say and how you say it. My mom used to tell me, Sean, it's not what you say, it's always how you say it. And your tone, inflection, the whole thing, man. I mean, so that emotional intelligence, man, it's a deep, powerful thing. So the more you tap into it, people don't realize that emotional intelligence, man, it can make or break a marriage. It can make or break a relationship. So fellas, if you have not tapped into your emotional intelligence, man, practice on that emotional intelligence every day, bro. And understand that it's the ability to understand and use and manage your emotions in a positive way, to relieve stress in the right way, to communicate effectively, to empathize with others. So you have to, guys, we got to empathize with that woman. So when your woman, and we talked about this in therapy, when your woman comes to you with something, she's coming to you from a place of concern. That place of concern is wrapped up into love. When you can't listen to her actively and then comprehend what she's saying, and you instead of taking offense to it, you need to listen and don't interrupt. Once she's done, reciprocate it with that same love that she gave to you. Once you give that thing back in the way, and then the way that you talk to her and based off of what she just said in your tone, that tone's got to be wrapped up in a loving type of way so she can receive. When she comes to you and you bite her head off and that's not what she meant, now she feels as if I can't trust myself to come to you and tell you anything because you're going to blow up and take it the wrong way. And you're not listening. That's another problem I used to have. And so I'm learning things about myself that I was like, this and that, this and that, this and that. And he checked me. He said, Sean, but when he talked about my emotional intelligence, he said, Sean, we need to check the gauge on your emotional intelligence. I hear what you're saying and the things that happen. He said, yeah, Sean, when things go wrong, it's both parties, but both parties have to look at the role that they played in it. What did I do wrong that I could do better? What did I say wrong that I could have said better? How did I act that I could have acted better? Was I really there for them when they really needed me? Was I there for him when he really needed me? Was he just catering to me and I wasn't catering to him? Or was she just catering to me and I wasn't catering to her? So my thing about it is emotional intelligence allows you to do a self-examination and gut check on yourself daily. But you have to tap into it. And fellas, if you do not tap into that emotional intelligence, you're going to lose your woman eventually. Ladies, if you don't tap into your emotional intelligence, you're going to lose that man eventually. Because the same needs that what you need as support as a woman, on the flip side, your man needs that same support. And that's something that we talked about in therapy. He said, Sean, things cannot work one-sided in this world. That's just not how the world works. The world is pretty much give and take. Everything's got to be give and take. If it's just take, give, and it's just one-sided, that is not going to work. Somebody's going to feel neglected. Somebody's going to feel deprived. Somebody's going to feel used. Someone's going to feel manipulated. Someone's going to feel played. So it's got to be reciprocal on both ends. In all dynamics of those ends. But if no one's tapping into their emotional intelligence, then how is that supposed to work? You know, and you got to understand your emotional intelligence, man. If you can't check it and you don't realize what your mood, man, you exuding that mood, man. You're putting that mood on your family. You're putting that mood on your wife. You're putting that mood on your children, and vice versa. You're putting that mood on your husband. You're putting that mood on your kids, man. I mean, you got to understand, man, that you know, instead of getting frustrated, how about just receiving it and listening? Because all it's going to do is make you better. And see, that's where maturity starts to come into play. See, but you got to be open-minded to see the errors in your ways. And if we're not open-minded to see the errors in our ways, that also shows that we lack emotional intelligence. If we can't sympathize and empathize what another person is going through and it's all about us, that also shows that we lack emotional intelligence. If we're selfish, we lack emotional intelligence. If we're not communicating effectively, we lack an emotional intelligence. If we shut down and that's our way of rectifying anything, we lack emotional intelligence. If we can't talk maturely and come together in the middle so we can actually find some type of resolve, we lack emotional intelligence. If we can't apologize to each other, we lack emotional intelligence. We can't say, I'm sorry, we lack emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is just not a man thing that's being lacked. Emotional intelligence also being lacked with women too as well. because he needs that same support like you need that support. He needs to be desired like you need to be desired. He needs to feel needed and wanted like you need to feel needed and wanted. So the lack of emotional intelligence is lacking on the women's side and the men's side. More on the men's side, though, in my personal opinion, because we're just men, and women are emotional. But man, when your woman is saying that, hey, listen, I need to talk to you about something. The thing about a woman, when a woman is reaching out to talk to you and say, I need to talk to you, man, she loves you, dude. Don't make the same mistakes that I've made by not listening to that love, that place that she's actually coming from. And then she's gonna be like, man, this dude ain't got an emotional bone in his body. So my thing about it is that you can, and my therapist says, Sean, do not beat yourself up over this. He say, now you know. Now you're working on your emotional intelligence. Now you're going to be a better dude overall because you're tapping into your emotional intelligence. He said, Sean, you would be dumbfounded if you knew how many men lacked emotional intelligence. He said, Sean, it's not one-sided. He said, women lack emotional intelligence too, but it's higher in men. But when your woman comes to you with something, with a problem, whatever, man, that means she loves you. When she stops coming to you with your problems, then you need to worry. Again, I can't speak on something that I have not been through, gone through, or working myself out of. I've been through that, man. I've lost women because of emotional intelligence. It didn't dawn on me until we started working on this a couple of weeks ago. But now I'm tapping in to emotional intelligence. So when they want to talk, they just want you to listen. They ain't asking you to interrupt the conversation. They ain't asking you for no feedback right now. She just wants you to listen and to hear her and to honor what you're hearing, but then being receptive, and your response comes from a place of love to reassure her that, baby, I'm gonna do better. Same thing goes from the women's side, because we talked about, he said, Sean, they lack emotional intelligence when it comes to what we go through as men and what we go through as black men. And they lack that emotional intelligence about our days, our hurts, our pains, our losses, our mental state of mind. So the lack of emotional intelligence is on the man's side and the woman's side as well, but that percentage is much more higher in men. Some people may refute that or say, nah, I think it's the same or whatever. Women is just as high as men. I mean, whatever, with, pretty much what's going on in our climate where they say women don't care too much about men no more. And I get it. And if your woman is saying you're being emotional, if anybody's saying being emotional, man, us men, we take that as offense because, that goes against our ego. Like, man, you ain't gonna tell me I'm acting like no woman. I would always get offended. Don't ever say that. Don't ever tell me I'm in my feelings. Just get hot. That's lacking emotional intelligence. That's ego. That's pride. And as men, we got to let that part go, because just because someone tells you acting emotional, dude, you screaming and hollering and she talking in a calm manner, dude, you do lack emotional intelligence. Dude, you need to get a grip of your emotions. She's talking to you like this and you are screaming to the top of your lungs, veins popping out your neck and your head, man. You about to damn near have an aneurysm. And she's just talking as calm and just looking at you like, this dude is out of his mind. But we need to, as men, we got to get in front of this when it comes to this emotional intelligence, man. It is so, man, you cannot sleep on how important emotional intelligence is in a relationship with a man and woman in a marriage. It's big. The way my therapist broke it down, he said, Sean, this thing is huge. This thing will make or break the whole entire situation on both ends. But 9 times out of 10, our women are coming to us, and they're coming to us from a place of love and concern because they love you so much. They just want to address the issue. They just want you to. They just want to be a woman. When she's coming to you, she just want to be heard. See, these are in therapy. I'm thinking it's about it's more than just about grief. It's about you handling those things that are mental that have been mishandled for years. I'm like, I told him the other day, I said, man, I wish I knew this stuff 25 years ago. He said, Sean, man, it ain't never too late to learn. He said, but you know it now. He said, now you got to do better from here. Now you have to capitalize off of knowing the importance of emotional intelligence, especially dealing with a woman. And he said, Sean, you got a daughter. So you got to understand this is going to be huge for her. This is going to be huge for the next time you get married, your woman, or whatever the case may be. It's going to be huge because now you know. Now when your woman comes to you, you can sit there and listen and then answer her in such a place of love for her and reassuring her at the same time in just your tone alone. Your tone alone is going to sound like love, and she gonna receive that, man. Y'all gonna have a good night, and she gonna be like, man, I got a man that's emotional intelligent. Wow, he has really changed. But we got to work on these things, man. We got to get out of that place of denial. Emotional intelligence is, I mean, it's huge, man. And I understood. Now I understand where that lack of emotional intelligence came from, man. Because it was never taught. It was never, ever taught. It was never broken down, the definitive meaning of it, and how sympathy and empathy towards others has a huge part to do with emotional intelligence. Listening actively to truly comprehend the conversation within the communication has a big part of emotional intelligence. Understanding and using and managing your emotions in a positive way has a huge deal with emotional intelligence. And to overcome challenges has a huge thing to do with emotional challenges and diffusing conflict. We can diffuse conflict by how and what we say, just by our tone alone. Don't use abrasive vernacular at all when there's a problem. I mean, don't shoot below the belt. Don't insult. Don't bring up old stuff. When you're unforgiving, you lack emotional intelligence. When you hold a grudge, you lack emotional intelligence. When you are bitter, you lack emotional intelligence. When you're resentful, you lack emotional intelligence. When you can't say I'm sorry or apologize, you lack emotional intelligence. That emotional intelligence is big time. It is big time. And y'all got to understand that. Y'all need to feel that, and y'all need to get that, man. And when I say it is an eye opener, it is an eye opener. I think about all the times I was short fused, quick tempered, just blowing off the handle, blowing a gasket, all because I've been lacking emotional intelligence for years. Yeah. So in a lot of these relationships, situationships, one-ships, or whatever, entanglements, whatever these things that I had, marriages, engagement, all these different things, I was the person lacking emotional intelligence. Now that I got it, I'm going to capitalize on it And I'm gonna really, 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 really make a difference with knowing about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence it'll make you be a better listener. It'll make you be way more understanding, way more sympathetic, way more empathetic, way more open-minded, way more concerned. Man, I tell you what, man, it's a beautiful thing. I'm gonna do a part 2 and a part 3 on emotional intelligence. I didn't want to be before you long. I just wanted to talk about it for about 30 minutes. Listen, men, we need to really work on our emotional intelligence, especially when it comes to our women and when it comes to our daughters. You know, you got to have balance. You can be the toughest guy, the hardest guy. I mean, you can be all those things, but if you lack emotional intelligence, it's gonna be a huge Achilles. It's gonna be your Achilles heel. It's gonna be a huge detriment to you because you need to have emotional intelligence. You can't be with no woman if you have no emotional intelligence, and if you lack it, you know she's gonna be starving for your emotional intelligence. And if you want her to be your best friend, emotional intelligence got to be a part of who you are as a man. It has to be. It has to be. Same thing with women. If you lack emotional intelligence, you're not really going to be concerned about how he feels about nothing. What he's going through, his mental state of mind, his problems, his hardships. You're not going to appreciate him. You're not going to value him because you lack emotional intelligence when it comes to him. So men and women both have to work on emotional intelligence. But us men, it's a high percentage in us. We really have to, because we're not emotional creatures by nature. But we act in emotional ways where our emotions get out of whack and we just go crazy, blow out the handle. Now we are men who can't handle their emotions. And it's a very unattractive trait when a woman sees a man who cannot handle his emotions. She's like, dude, he's supposed to be the leader, but this fool can't even handle his emotions. So that's why you can always fix that. Get in front of it. Learn. Work on self and see that's why self-improvement is so important. And if you're not working on self-improvement daily, you're not trying to get better. And see, you got to make the effort to work on yourself daily. Therapy is a part of self-improvement. That's why I can't let go of it. And I'm so glad because I was about to just let go of it. And I'm so glad because I wouldn't have got to this part of the emotional intelligence. This thing, I'm tripping, but this thing is huge for me because it is showing me all the problems that I've had in relationships and marriages and everything. Just conversations and blow-ups, that's been on me. So it's like, damn. Now I get it. Okay, now I can capitalize off my emotional intelligence. But I'm not gonna beat myself over, just like my therapist said, Sean, do not beat yourself over something you don't know. Beat yourself up when you do know and do the opposite. You say, now you got your emotional intelligence. Now, Sean, you still acting fool, whatever, blowing up and trying to get better, bro. Now you got no excuse because we've been dealing with this for the past several weeks. And I'm working on it. I'm working on it. And it's good, man. It's a very, very good thing when you tap into that emotional intelligence, man, because you'll be able to feel what other people is feeling. I mean, really feel it and really put yourself in their place. And then when you respond back to what she says, fellas, she's going to be able to receive it because the way you respond back is going to come from a place of emotional intelligence. It's not going to sound degrading insulting her intelligence. It's not going to sound like you above her or better. It's not going to make her feel worse. It's going to make her feel so good that she's going to be like, dang, he gets it. Oh, the way you responded to me, just the way you talked to me, she's going to feel the love in your conversation. Why? Because you're coming from a place of emotional intelligence. So, men, we got to work on our emotional intelligence when it comes to these women, man. Emotional intelligence, man, will make or break any relationship. So that's something I learned and I'm sharing with you guys. We'll do part 2 and part 3 at some point. Y'all stay up, man. Eat to live this weekend. Don't live to eat. Remember, money's coming around the corner. Love is love, baby. Love is love. Y'all be good. But like I say at the end of every one of my segments, I'll start judging people once I'm perfect too. But since this brother's in no danger of becoming perfect, you never have to worry about me ever judging you. I catch you guys on the flip. Listen, man, be safe out there. Peace.